we are aware of the body in the sitting posture, and we let the mind rest on the body, just as the body rests on the cushion. And with the continuity of this embodied presence of the mind, we will now proceed through the 4 Brahmavihāras, combining them with the awakening factors. So that temporary liberation of the mind can lead on to final and complete liberation of the mind. But before doing so, we take a moment to formulate our intention, what motivates us to practice. And having formulated our motivation, we take a moment to check in on the condition of the mind. Meeting the mind where it is, and checking in for the presence of any of the 5 hindrances. And sooner or later, finding no hindrances present in the mind, we rejoice, rejoicing in the temporary absence of the hindrances and the resultant wholesome condition of the mind. And equipped and inspired with this joy, we arouse metta. In whatever way we find works best for us, we arouse loving kindness, benevolence, the very opposite of anger, ill will. And having aroused metta, we shift from doing metta to being metta, to allowing our whole body and mind to be suffused, filled with metta, to become an embodiment of metta. And then we open up into the different directions, as if softly, gently withdrawing a curtain around a lamp or a candle, opening up in front, to the right, the back, the left, above and below. Boundless metta. Metta ceto vimutti. Appamana. Unlimited. Immeasurable. and we are mindful of this quality, condition of the mind, mindful of metta, citta, vimutti, aware of it. Aware of this beauty of the heart and the spaciousness. And we investigating the texture of the mind, and in particular checking in for any of those qualities that are opposite to metta. Let me see any trace of anger, ill will here. Oh no, not a trace of anger and ill will. Just metta everywhere, all directions, whole body and mind, just metta. And knowing this complete absence of anger and ill will, mind feels so settled, stable, so equipoised, so balanced. And this freedom from anger and ill will, this balance of the mind, it inspires us to invest energy for the sake of continuity in this abiding. Very soft and gentle energy, not at all pushy. Just that balanced and soft amount of effort to ensure continuity. To ensure continuity of abiding in boundless metta. And as we achieve this balance, continuity, just the right amount of energy, body and mind are so tranquil. The tranquility of metta, the tranquility of absence of anger and ill will. So tranquil. And such a joy, the joy of metta, the joy of having left behind anger, ill will. Such a relief, such a joy. And mind naturally becomes composed, collected, concentrated. Samadhi, composed in metta, citta, vimutti, abiding in boundless metta with a mind that is enriched by the presence of the 7 awakening factors. Mindfulness as the foundation, always required. mindful of that very condition of boundless metta. Whenever mind gets slightly agitated, slightly excited, tranquility, concentration, equipoise. We give more importance to these three, as they tend to calm the mind. Whenever mind gets a little bit sluggish, investigation, energy, joy, we give a little bit more of importance to these three energizers, as they energize the mind to maintain balance. Balance of abiding in metta, citta vimutti, boundless metta. And having abided in boundless metta, in a mind enriched with the awakening factors, sooner or later we feel it's time to move on to the next Brahmavihāra, to compassion. And as we move on to this transition from one Brahmavihāra to the next, we see if it is possible to maintain some degree of spaciousness of the mind, even in the transition. Some degree of presence of awakening factors, at least mindfulness, in the transition. And we arouse compassion in whatever way seems useful, appropriate to us. But we try to use least amount of effort, just enough to arouse, and sooner rather than later shift from arousing compassion to being compassion. Karuna, this nobility of the heart, that is the very opposite of cruelty, harming. Whole body and mind suffused by compassion, filled with compassion, drenched with compassion, becoming an embodiment of compassion. Karuna, such an ennobling quality. And we open up softly, gently in the different directions, beginning with the front, right, back, left, above, and below. Boundless compassion. Karuna citta vimutti, appamana. Unlimited, immeasurable. No boundaries. Not excluding anyone. And we are mindful of it, mindful of boundless compassion. we investigate, getting a feeling for the texture of the mind that abides in boundless compassion, and in particular checking in for those states that are opposite of compassion. Let me see. Any trace of harming, cruelty? Oh no. Mind is so full of compassion. Everywhere compassion, not a trace of harming, cruelty. Mind is so equipoised, balanced in the absence of harming and cruelty. Equipoised. And wishing for this to continue naturally arouses energy, balanced, soft energy, just enough to ensure continuity. Continuity of abiding in compassion that is so far away from harm and cruelty. And being so far away from harm and cruelty, body and mind are so tranquil. The tranquility of compassion. And such joy. Look, not a trace of cruelty left, not a trace of harming to be found. What a joy! What a joy to be abiding in boundless compassion. And mind naturally becomes collected, composed, concentrated. Samadhi. The samadhi of karuna citto vimutti, liberation of the heart through compassion, boundless compassion. And with a mind enriched by the presence of the awakening factors, abiding in boundless compassion, we proceed, balancing with the continuous support of mindfulness, the other in two groups of three, the energizers, the calmers, according to what the situation requires. Until we feel it is now time to move on to the next Brahmavihāra. Mudita, sympathetic joy. Again we see, without any straining, we see if it is possible to maintain at least some degree of spaciousness of the mind and some degree of that rich condition of the mind due to the awakening factors, at least mindfulness, during the transition towards arousing mudita, sympathetic joy. Using the least amount of activity needed, just enough to arouse, and sooner rather than later, shifting to being mudita. The very opposite of discontent, jealousy, envy. Whole body and mind suffused, filled drenched with mudita, becoming an embodiment of mudita. And opening up softly, gently in the front, in the right, in the back direction, the left, above and below. Boundless mudita, boundless sympathetic joy. Mindful of it, mindful of that boundless abiding in sympathetic joy. And investigating the texture of the mind in this condition. And in particular, checking in for those qualities that are opposite of mudita. Let me see any trace here of discontent, envy, jealousy. Oh no, not a trace to be found. All body and mind, all directions, just mudita, just sympathetic joy. How could there be discontent, envy, jealousy? No way for them to exist in this condition of the mind. So balanced, so equipoised in the absence of discontent, jealousy, envy. And we wish to continue in this wholesome condition of the mind. We feel inspired to invest energy, effort, but we do so wisely. Just very soft and gentle supply of energy, so that the mind does not lose balance, so that the mind, that body and mind, move on to tranquility. The tranquility underlying the abiding in sympathetic joy, in the absence of discontent, envy and jealousy, which agitate body and mind. Tranquility. And now it gets particularly interesting as joy meets joy, a doubling of joy. The awakening factor of joy meets the Brahmavihāra of sympathetic joy. Very interesting. Such joy. And mind naturally collected, composed, concentrated. The natural samadhi of abiding in boundless, sympathetic joy, with the mind that is enriched by the presence of the awakening factors. Abiding in mudita, Citta Vimutti. And again, mindfulness as the foundation. Use the others, 2 groups of 3, to balance. Sluggish mind, the 3 energizers. Investigation, energy, joy. Agitated mind, the 3 karmas. Tranquility, concentration, equipoise. Just a matter of a slight shift of attention, of emphasis, to continue abiding in mudita, citta vimutti, until we feel that the time has come to move on to the culmination, the completion of the Brahmavihāras in upekkha, equanimity. And again we see, just gently trying to see if it is possible to maintain some degree of spaciousness, if some little bit of awakening factor, maybe mindfulness, can come along in the transition towards equanimity, upekkha, the absence of liking and disliking, choosing and rejecting, that balance of the mind. However much we need to be active to arouse upekkha, and then sooner rather than later, shifting to being equanimity. That balance of freedom from desire and aversion, having left behind desire and aversion, wanting this, rejecting that. Whole body and mind suffused by the coolness of equanimity, the balance of equanimity. Opening up in the different directions, front, right, back, left, above and below. Boundless equanimity. Upekkha, citta vimutti, appamana, immeasurable, unlimited. And we are mindful of it. Investigate, checking in on the texture of the mind that is abiding in upekkha, citta vimutti, and in particular investigating if there's any of these conditions that are the opposite of equanimity, choosing and rejecting, desire and aversion. Let me see. Any trace of these here anywhere? Oh no. Not a trace left of desire and aversion, choosing and rejecting. It's getting interesting again, as equanimity meets equipoise. awakening factor of equipoise meets Brahmavihāra of equanimity, a doubling of upekkha as the two meet each other. Very interesting. And we want this to continue. The superb balance of the mind. We feel naturally inspired to invest energy, balanced energy, of course, so that the mind proceeds to tranquility of body and mind, in the absence of wanting and rejecting, in the absence of desire and aversion. And with this profound experience of equanimity, still there's very subtle joy. Very subtle. Very subtle. The joy of the absence of desire and aversion. The joy that comes with this wholesome condition of the mind. And the mind naturally concentrated, collected, composed, abiding in boundless equanimity with the mind enriched with the awakening factors, keeping them balanced. And when time comes that it is now time to move on from the sitting to the walking, where we could again rely on metta as our main modality of practice. When that time has come, then to give that finishing touch on the cultivation of the awakening factors in a mind that is still secluded from the hindrances. Dispassion even towards the sublime experience of abiding in boundless Brahmavihāras, of the mind enriched with awakening factors. Dispassion even for that. What to say of anything else? Allowing even this abiding to come to an end. Cessation. Being at ease with the ending of things. Everything, sooner or later, is bound to cease. Letting go. Letting go of all attachment, clinging, all holding on. Letting go to incline the mind towards Nibbana, the supreme letting go. Keep practicing like this.